my lovely friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige, and today I want to tell you some new to me authors that I discovered in 2021. These are all authors that I had not read previously, but I did read at least one of their books in 2021, so let's go ahead and get started. The first one on my list is Chloe Liese. She writes the Bergman Brothers series, and she has 4 released in that series as of currently, and then she also released a Christmas story in 2021, and I read all 4 of the books in the Bergman Brothers series plus the Christmas one, which is the Mistletoe Motive. I adore Chloe Liese. I adore her books. I just love everything that she writes, essentially. I am so looking forward to the next book in the Bergman Brothers series and whatever else she has planned. I know she also has I think 3 or 4 other books on her backlist that I do want to check out soon. I'm just really impressed with this author, and I'm anxiously anticipating everything that she has planned to write. The next one is Joanna Schupe. I never read anything by this author before. I am not typically a big historical romance reader, but I did read this one. It was A Notorious Vow, and it was the group book read for the Historical Romance Readathon that I did participate in. And I really did like this one. This one had a deaf hero in it, and it was really good. I loved it. I rated it 5 stars. I really did enjoy reading this one. Am I going to be reading much more by this author? I don't know, because I typically do not read historical romance, but this definitely was a good one, and I will always keep her in mind if I do want to read more by this author. So speaking of historical romance, I also read a book by Jennifer Ashley, The Madness of Lord Ian Mackenzie. I also read this one for the Historical Romance Readathon, and I greatly enjoyed this one too. The hero in the story has autism, and it was a delightful read too. I really did enjoy reading both of those books, and those are two new historical romance authors that I discovered in 2021. I also discovered Nikki Sloane in 2021. I binged read her, I don't know what the series is, but it's The Initiation, which is the first book in the series, and I binge read. The only one I haven't read in this series is the last one, but it was very intriguing, and of course I love her age gap series. It's The Doctor, The Pool Boy, and The Architect. Oh my goodness, I love those. The Pool Boy actually ended up on my favorites list of 2021. I loved it so much. I also discovered Jodie Slaughter. I read this one for around Valentine's Day because it's a Valentine's inspired story, and this is just one more, and this kind of centers around a girl. She's a tattoo artist, and she absolutely loves Valentine's Day, and she ends up meeting the hero of the story in the taxi. And it's such a funny kind of meet cute because the taxi ride is not pleasant, and then they get out as soon as they can, and they decide to spend Valentine's Day together since they're both single, and it leads to more, and it was such a delightful read. I also discovered Danielle Allen, and the book I read by her is Truth or Dare. This one was pretty fun. This is a really fun read. The hero and the heroine of the story went to college together, and now it's their 10-year reunion or whatever it was, but the reunion of them and all of their college buddies getting together, and they played their tried and true game of Truth or Dare, and they actually end up hooking up on this trip, and it was such a fun read. I really did enjoy this one. Another new author that I read because of Bree from In Love and Words is Jack Harbon. He has a lot of different type of books, but the one that I really loved of his is his Beauty, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It was very well done and very unique because the beast stays the beast. He doesn't actually turn into a man. And I thought that that was a very unique, you know, way of telling that story. I really loved reading that one. I've also read a couple more of his, but his beauty is definitely my favorite. I binge read books by Rebekah Weatherspoon in 2021. I'd read so many books of hers. Of course, I loved her, I think it's the Loose End series, which is Rafe and Zinni. Rafe is a male nanny and Zinni is a marriage of convenience. I absolutely love both of those. I also read her Sugar Baby. I think that's what the series is called. Those are like all little short books, but so they're very easily bingeable. And it's basically a girl who signs up to be a sugar baby because she needs money, and she ends up falling in love with her sugar daddy. It's really, really sweet. And so yeah, I absolutely love Rebekah Weatherspoon, and I need to work more on her backlist because she is just a phenomenal writer. The next one is Rilzy Adams. I read her book Go Deep and Deeper. It's kind of both books are pretty short and they are just magical because this is a friends to lovers romance. They have been friends for a long time. She is a romance writer and she is just has a block. She can't get past her writer's block, and she's not been getting good reviews from her latest books, and so she needs inspiration. So she finds inspiration from her best friend, which leads to more, and it's such a wonderful series. And the follow-up book, which is Deeper, is more of what happens, you know, like more of their happily ever after and their wedding, and vows are so beautiful. It made me cry, especially if you listen to the song that Rilzy Adams tells you to listen to while you're reading their vows. It's such a magical moment. I also discovered Alyssa Cole. I have several books by her that I want to read, but I did end up reading one, and it's novella length, and this is Once Ghosted, Twice Shy. This is a sapphic romance of these two women meeting and having a wonderful time together, and but they're, you know, it's a temporary type of situation because one is moving on, and it was just a delightful, fun, shorter book to read, and I plan to read more by Alyssa Cole. The next one is Christina C Jones, and the one that I read by her is I Think I Might Love You. I do want to continue reading on in this series because I have a feeling they're all gonna kind of have like that humor to it as that I Think I Might Love You had. This is a girl who's just kind of been in and out of trouble. She just doesn't have a great track record, and she and the hero have such a funny meet cute, and he's a veterinarian, and she brings a cat to him that she found. And it is hilarious how they meet, and you know, of course she has to end up working at his vet office, and they, of course, you know, closer proximity to each other makes them lead to more, and it was a very fun read, and I really greatly enjoyed this one. The next one is Meghan Quinn. I can't believe that I waited until 2021 to read something by Meghan Quinn. I love her books and I need to read more of her backlist. I'm telling you, I love everything she has written so far that I've read. I read the Getting Lucky series by her, and all the books have so many different emotions. Like, she's hilarious. She can write so many hilarious moments, but she can also put a lot of emotion in there, and it's just so great. They're so well-rounded and so well written, and I love her writing. The Getting Lucky series is definitely my favorite that I've read so far. It's about 4 brothers, and they kind of accidentally think they get like a spell put on them by this witch, and they think so they won't get lucky for falling in love, and it's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. I definitely recommend that series. It is just such a good time. I had such a good time reading that series. I did discover Emma Castle in 2021. I read Love in the Wild, which is a Tarzan retelling, which was super unique. I'd never read a Tarzan retelling before, and a little boy, just like Tarzan and Jane, he was orphaned at a very young age, and gorillas raised him, and then she found him in the jungle, and it was such a fun read, and I loved it. I also discovered Pam Godwin in 2021. I have 2 of her books that ended up on my top 25, Dark Notes and Knotted. I really enjoyed those. I also read the prequel to her historical romance. So far, the books that I've read are more leaned towards more darker romance, but of course, I love that. It's right up my alley, and I really enjoy the books I've read by her. I also discovered Brianna Hale, of course, by Tamika from Library of Tomes. This is like her favorite author, and I finally picked it up, and boy, am I glad that I did. I started off with Rush, and I just worked my way from there. I've read several of her books, plan to read all of her backlist as well. She has more of, she writes more age gap and daddy kink. I didn't think I would really like that, but she writes it so well. It is so well written. It is just very, very well done, and I really enjoyed her books. The next author I read is Nicky James. She writes mostly MM romance. I don't know if she writes MF, but because I haven't read. She has a pretty big backlist, and I haven't read them all. But the ones that I have read so far, I've enjoyed. Some she writes, she has a couple of super, super taboo romances, and then others quite not so taboo. And I enjoy reading them. They're very fun and entertaining to read. I also read Priest by Sara Simone in 2021. Sara Simone is an author that I've been wanting to get around to read for a while now, and I just never have, but I did pick up Priest. I think this might have been one of the books in the Taboo Book Club. I think that's why I picked it up. But I enjoyed reading Priest, and I look forward to reading more that she has written. Of course, Priest is very taboo because he is a priest and not allowed to have a romance. The next one is Adrienne Wilder. I read 2 books by her. It's The Absence of Light and the book that follows that book up. It's just kind of like a shorter novella carrying on into the same couple, like a little bit further into the future, and I absolutely adored this series. This is a male romance, and one of the heroes comes to this small town just to kind of like get away for a while, and he buys this fixer-upper house, and he befriends the a guy who works at the bar, and he has autism, and I absolutely adored their romance. They were both so sweet. It was such a sweet romance, and I loved how much they cared for each other, and it was just absolutely wonderful. And these also ended up on my favorites of 2021 as well. The next author I discovered in 2021, it was Jennifer Hartman. I read Still Beating because it was recommended to me from a readers group I'm in on Facebook. And I am so glad that this book was recommended to me because it was absolutely amazing. Of course, it's a very dark romance. They go through some pretty horrible things. The heroine of the story is kidnapped with her sister's fiance, and they are both abused together. And then when they are rescued, they are just expected to, you know, part and live their lives just like carry on as before. But when you go through something that horrific, you can't just pick up the pieces that you left behind. It's, you know, you're having to like pretty much rediscover yourself and lead a whole new life. And this book was amazing. I also read Lotus Fire, which is like her follow-up book to that, even though it's not technically a series. But and I also read The Wrong Heart. She writes so many great books. I love Jennifer Hartman, and I plan to continue reading her books that she is going to release. I also discovered Pepper Winters in 2021. I read her Dollar series, a pretty dark series, but a girl who was kidnapped and tortured for 2 years until she is rescued by her, you know, the hero of the story. And the series is pretty long. It's like 5 or 6 books. throughout their whole story. So it is a little tad long, but I did enjoy it. I also discovered Kathryn Moon in 2021, and I absolutely adore her. The first book I read by her is The Lady at Rooksgrave Manor. This is about a girl who is essentially an escort for these monster type of creatures, and I love that one. I also have read her Sweet Omegaverse series, and I love that one as well. Also another author that I plan to read her backlist and see what else she has available. I also read A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sara Barnard. This is the only book I've read by this author, but I did read it in 2021. This is a kind of young adult self-discovery type of story where the heroine of the story has a speech issue where she's kind of mute by choice, and the hero of the story is deaf, and this is about their relationship and also just like the self-discovery of themselves and what they can do. It is a very sweet YA romance. I also just discovered Onley James in 2021, and I'm obsessed with her serial killer romance series. I absolutely adore them. I've read all of them that she has released so far, and I am going to try to read her backlist as well. I adore her serial killer romance series so much, and I am so glad that I picked the Unhinged Up, which is the first book in the series. So glad that I did give it a try because I am obsessed. Speaking of serial killers, I also read the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. This was also a pretty good serial killer romance series that is very binge worthy. All the books are pretty short. You can read them pretty easily. And this is about a girl who kills the people who have wronged her in her past, and she falls in love with the FBI agent who is trying to solve the serial killer case, which is her, and he does not know this. I also discovered Evie Mitchell in 2021. I read 2 books by her. It's the All Access series, and I really enjoy that series. It's shorter books as well, so they're very easily readable and reading them pretty quickly. And she is very inclusive of different types of diversities and chronic illnesses and such, so it's a great representation, and I really greatly enjoyed her series. I also discovered Laura Thalassa. I read 1 book by her in 2021. I read Pestilence, which is the first book in the 4 Horsemen series, and this is based kind of like on a futuristic time of the world when the 4 horsemen come to Earth, and the first horseman is Pestilence, and he like carries the plague with him, and he's just killing these multitudes of people, and this girl tries to kill him, and so he kind of takes her as his prisoner, and this is their romance. It's very unique. I've never read anything like it, and I can't wait to continue on in that series. I also read Liza James. I read Vibe by Liza James, and this is a sapphic romance, and this is about a girl who has had a very dark past, and now, you know, she is just kind of pretty much overcame that and is living her life, and then she meets the girl at a strip club. She is the dancer there, and they are very much infatuated with each other, and this is their romance, and it is just so good. So good. I also read Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. I haven't read anything else by this author, but I plan to. This is also another sapphic romance, and this is between 2 women who, one of the heroine's brother and also friend of the other heroine, puts them together sets them up on a blind date, and they totally do not like each other at first because they are such opposites. Like, what they enjoy, what they like is just complete opposites, but then they start to fake date for particular reasons, and of course that leads to more. I also read When You Least Expect It by Haley Cass. This is a sapphic holiday romance. I read this one when I was reading all of my holiday romances in December, and I fell in love with this book. This book centers around 2 women. One is a divorce attorney, and the other has been married to a divorce attorney but is wanting a divorce, so she seeks the help of the other woman of the attorney to help her with her divorce, and they become really good friends, which leads to more, and it is absolute perfection. And the last new author that I discovered in 2021 is Tessa Bailey. I read Love Her or Lose Her, which is the second book in that series, but I didn't really feel lost or confused by anything. So you can probably also read them out of order like I did. So I need to go back and read the first one. But I love this. This was a marriage in trouble romance, and I love a good marriage in trouble. They already have, you know, been together, they're married, but there is just so much miscommunication, and they begin marriage counseling, and it was just so well done, and I loved it. So those are some new authors that I read in 2021. Let me know any new authors you read in 2021, or recommend to me authors that I need to read in 2022. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.